afternoon. Good afternoon. It is the unbiased fan, Brim Reaper, aka is that Stephen Brimley? Is that Stephen Brimley on your dial? I'm doing a pop up live just because another result last night in the world of boxing kind of made me want to talk about this. So I figured I could cover a little bit of everything boxing, but also talk about the main topic that I had in there. So I think most of us would agree that 2023, uh, fight wise, has been a really good year for boxing. A lot of great matchups have happened. You know, you got your Tank, your Ryan, you got your Spencer Crawford, you got your Canelo Charlo. Lower fights, Benavidez and Plant, such and so forth. So we've had some really good fights for this year so far. But there's an underlining tone outside of that the business of boxing is overseeing the competitive part and the sport of boxing. And this is why I was upset with PBC, and the same reason why I will not be in favor of what Top Rank is doing either. Matchroom does it as well, but it's a little bit lesser degree because they put their fighters in positions to lose by putting them in the most competitive fights, which is something that I actually commend Eddie Hearn for. So last night we saw the fight George Kambosos versus Mr. Hughes. Now, watching that fight, I'm going to keep it a bean here with you. I saw Kambosos lose 9 rounds. At best, he won 4 rounds. Kambosos was missing a lot, and he was being counted to oblivion. But this is where my issue with boxing lies. The business of boxing supersedes the sport. And why I say that? Because they have plans in place that will make them the most financial gain. And because of these things, they do things from our optics to take away fights, or excuse me, wins from fighters who have earned them because that fighter wasn't in the business plan. So let's talk about what fights we have that's happened so far. We can go in order of the most heinous to the ones that are the least heinous, or least heinous. So least heinous, I would say Martin's fight, right? Some people feel like Frank Martin clearly lost the fight. What's up, Big Blunts? You know what's up, man. I hope you holler at Rebel Life and he can hook you up because he did my logo. The logo that you see, that is what Rebel Life did for me, by the way. So he's a solid guy, man. Shout out to Rebel Life for real. So Frank Martin, I thought he won the fight because going into the 10th round, I had him down 3 points, right? He won round 10, he won round 11, he won round 12, and he won round 12 with a 10-8 round, which would give him a 114-113 victory. But there are other people that had the scorecards much wider, which I can't necessarily knock them. So that's a fight where if it's close enough, the house fighter or the fighter that they have the financial planning backing to will get the win. So that's one. Two, Haney versus Lomachenko. Now, my brother Ring IQ, shout out to Ring IQ, he will always say there was a robbery. Now, I started out saying it was a robbery, so I'm going to keep it at being. But over time, I kind of quelled the notion that I felt it was a robbery, but I still think it was a gift decision. I won't go as far as to say robbery, but I will say it was a gift. Christmas came early for the Haney family, in my opinion, you know, because when I first watched the fight, and hey guys, anybody that tuned in, sorry if you hear noise. I'm chopping up onions, bell peppers, all that, because I'm about to make fajitas. You hear me? And I wanted to go live, but I'm not gonna stop my motions while going live. So if you hear this noise and stuff, excuse me, okay? So, we talking about Haney and Loma. When I watched the Loma Haney fight, right? I was at work and I had it with no audio. Because you know a lot of people who was talking to me. You need to watch the fight with no idea. You were swayed by the biased commentary. Well, I didn't hear the commentary. So that's the first thing. Okay. So when I watched the fight, when it came to the 12th round, which is one of the big things that people come at, I felt like Loma had it in the bag. I felt like it was 8-3 because I felt like Haney was getting dinged. And here's the thing, Haney did phenomenal body work, right? I'm always going to give him credit for how he fought because he fought differently. But I felt like I was saying earlier, in the fight, that body work might make a difference, but it didn't. Because in the later part of the fight, Loma started whooping that ass. So I can't turn around and say, "Oh, he did phenomenal body work," and I thought it was going to turn into him wearing Loma down, but he didn't wear Loma down. Loma turned around and started whooping that ass, and I felt like until the 12th round, Loma won round 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 straight rounds. And people gave him Haney the 12th, but I thought Loma outlanded him in the 12th too. But that's neither here or there. I felt like it was a gift decision. I won't go as far as to say it's a robbery still, but there's another one. All right. Then we got hold up, I'm trying to make sure I get my thoughts right. Oh, well, we already know the most heinous. And the most heinous is it didn't even get put on the scorecards because it seems like Tony Weeks was paid off weeks in advance, right? So Sugar Barroso versus Rolly, I don't really know how to box that well. Romero, I said Ramirez, whatever. Yeah, well, I might as well mess up his name. But Rolly was getting beat clearly by Sugar Barroso, and they stopped the fight because Rolly wasn't landing punches. Like for real. You know what I mean? So that was a stone cold Steve Austin. What type of robbery? I mean, that was a robbery of the year, and it might be a robbery of the decade. It was definitely top 5 worst moves I've ever seen for me as a boxing fan. So just to name off some of those, and there's some other ones. There's some ones for women's and all that, but I just want to cover the ones that people are most known for, most popular, that would resonate, right? So, in the midst of all these great boxing matches that happen, we still have a gigantic issue with some people say incompetence, right? But it's happening so much, and it's so ridiculous that can we really call it incompetence, or are we going to call it corruption? As a matter of fact, shout out to Cali X because he's the one that I saw that and he said something about it's enough of us calling this incompetence. It's time to start calling it what it may really be, which is corruption, right? So with that issue, it takes away from boxing. There's a reason why boxing isn't mainstream anymore. Part of that reason is because they went to the pay-per-view model. The pay-per-view model made a lot of people money in the business and boxers as well, but it has hurt the overall visibility. It has overall hurt the visibility of boxing because it's not being seen by the masses because it's a paywall, right? And shout out to my brother Rebel Life. Hey, Rebel Life, I tagged you on Twitter. If you see Big Blunts in boxing, he was looking to get some graphic stuff done, and you solid as they come, and you do some good work, brother. I let him know that you did my actual graphics for my page as well. So I hope he holler at you though. But so boxing shoots itself in the foot a lot because they'll do something phenomenal, but then the next week it'll be a travesty. So for every phenomenal deed, a travesty is right behind it. I would say that's counterproductive, don't you think? Don't you think that is counterproductive? I would hope that you would think that is not how you would want boxing to be. Because when the business overshadows the sport, it becomes WWE pimping. It does. Because we all love boxing as a competition. It's a competition. It's a competitive sport. But when you're doing things like this, And listen, I remember I made a video on saying PBC should go out of business, right? And I meant it when I said, I've apologized about that afterwards, which I don't necessarily mean I had to, but I took it back some because PBC has been making phenomenal fights for 2023. But we got to keep in mind why they're doing so. They're doing so because Paramount and the people higher up is giving them a budget to get something done, and they're on the clock. They have till the end of next year to show the viability, or they will not continue on the Paramount side when it becomes all consolidated. I do follow business. I do, I pay attention to the market and all that stuff. So people who are fans of promotional companies or boxers, they'll ignore that, right? And other side of the coin is that people who hate PBC won't give them credit in the same liking. So that's why when I get insulted by people, when I pull up on panels and I speak my piece about, whatever particular fight or situation or circumstance, like, and I just, before I go into, I want to give a shout out to Marty the manager. I had a different viewpoint of Marty the manager day before yesterday. I tried to come up on his live a couple times. He never, acknowledged me or whatever. And I felt like he had a heavy Terrence Crawford hate. But what I've got out of the last live I was with him on, he got principles. He got principles. He's a respectable man. And this is my opinion. He let me speak. He let me voice my opinion. He didn't give me no bullcrap. He didn't play no Errol Spence fanboy games. I'm going to block you. I'm going to mute you and none of that. He let other people on the panel speak to me. He conducted himself in a way with a certain amount of respect that I truly respect. And I just want to say salute to you, Marty, the manager. We may not agree on this particular fight. And it may be other fights down the road we may not agree with. But the way you conduct yourself as a man and man to man, I truly respect you. Simple as that. I respect you, hands down. No debate. But continuing on. The problem is, I'm sorry, give me 1 second, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully. I'm back, y'all. I appreciate it. I'm in trouble now because I forgot to get stuff that I was somehow told, but I don't remember. I'm just joking, okay? Jeez. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm back. All right. So back to where I was talking about where, I'll give credit with and criticize equally. So right now, Top Rank, PBC, I don't see either one of them any different. Why? Because we're having too many judges score fights inaccurately in a very questionable fashion, to admit as well, right? And any of us using our common sense can easily say it's because it's the business of boxing. What is the business of boxing? The business of boxing is not the best fighting the best, y'all. We like to hope that was the case. We would love for that to be the truth. And we try to operate and function on that lie as boxing fans. But the truth of the matter is, the business of boxing is about making the most money. And you're making the most money, sometimes it's not about the sport. It's not about the competitive of the sport. And I said a while back, when the business of boxing is larger than the sport of it, we have a problem. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. I'm not going to sit here and be the one to say boxing is dead. I mean, we've all had our moments because we have a love hate relationship with boxing because boxing treats us, sometimes pretty foul, right? But it's over. It's undeniable that what we're seeing here is a problem with the so-called sport of boxing. Because I have to say so-called because no way, no how can we have fighters like Maxie Hughes go in and at worst, win 7-5, have judges score a fight 9-3 for Kambosos. We can't. We can't sit here and ignore these things that are happening. And the problem is we be in arms for the weekend, but then Monday comes and then we're looking at next week's fights, and now it's an afterthought. And that's a problem. And these things are happening too often. And it's taking away the viability of the sporting aspect of boxing. And the reason why I say that is because when you have fighters like Rolly Romero who are giving title shots in weight classes that they had never fought in nor earned the opportunity for that title, and then the fighter they fight is robbed of the opportunity of being a champion, and the title is given to this person, it is now being used in topics of conversations to devalue the belts. I have conversations with people. Hey, it ain't I said this person's a champion on it. Well, Rolly got a belt. So in effect, because of these moves, is taking value away from being a champion. When we know damn well, people having these titles is why people make more money in a fight game. But it's giving the ability for people who want to paint narratives that titles do not matter to utilize these talking points to run with. Cascade, salute to you, brother. Appreciate you pulling up on me. I don't do a lot of lives, and I do a lot of my lives out of the blue when I feel like it, and I feel like it. So as I'm cutting up this steak and getting ready to make these fajitas, we gonna talk a little bit about this side of boxing. Mark Nash, blessings. What's up, brother? So again, do you guys feel that the business of boxing overshadows the sport of boxing? I feel like it does. And this is why I take issue with the sport I love. Because the people that's involved in the sport of boxing on the highest level, from the networks, the promotional companies, and the sanctioning bodies, they are all complicit with the business of boxing overshadowing the sport. And I believe it diminishes the value of boxing in totality. That's my opinion. I will never sway from that. I will never change from that. Because sports is supposed to be competitive. You're supposed to have a winner and a loser. The winner is not always the person you expect it to be. And just because you have a financial advantage for you to have a particular fighter on the winning side of stuff, you're willing to sacrifice the essence of competition in sports to be able to maintain the financial viability of said fighter, to fight whatever said fighter to make a financial gain. That's a travesty, guys. You know it, I know it. PBC, Top Rank, all these sons of bitches are the same. So if you hear me criticize PBC, Don't throw at me, what about Top Rank? Don't give me that bullshit. Do not do it. And when I criticize Top Rank, don't cape for them either. Because they all in the same fucking boat. Just let's be real. They're in the same boat, guys. They both do the same weak bullshit. House fighters getting house decisions because they have a financial interest in that particular fighter. That takes away from the sport of boxing. And I would love to see if somebody had a different point of view than me in regards to this. I mean, people probably on the surface would agree, but when it's convenient for whatever narrative they want to roll with or whatever, when they have a promotional company love instead of the love for the sport, they'll utilize some of those talking points that I mentioned to or make an argument, which is fugazi as fuck, if you ask me, baby. So I think most of us here would agree that last night Kambosos lost. But for some reason, Top Rank has a plan. So with that plan in mind, the fix is in. And it's not cool, guys. It's not official. It's not commendable, and it does not benefit the sport of boxing overall. So I spoke my piece on that. I'm not going to say anything else about that. I'm going to leave that alone, even though that is the reason why I went live. But we have two phenomenal big-time fights coming up very, very soon. And for me, it's beautiful. Fulton Inoue, I'll be watching the fight from, actually, I'll be home when the fight comes on. So I'll be staying up, and I'll be clicking on my ESPN Plus so I can enjoy the fight. So let me do a baby preview of Inoue Fulton. Now, before I get into that, I posed a question on my community tab. Do you take an issue with Fulton's camp making it a big issue about the raps, or do you think it's legitimate? I'm in between. I'm on the fence about this. I believe it's something you can bring up if you have a legitimate concern, but it's probably something that should have been done behind the scenes before we got to this point. This is my humble opinion, right? But for me to say that it's weak for him to do it in any capacity, I can't say that. I think I would be being disingenuous if I tried to do that. So I think it is a legitimate point to be brought up, but it should have been done behind the scenes. But the fact that it was brought up in this type of fashion has only actually helped the viability of the fight. People are now talking about the fight more, paying attention to the fight. And this is the fight that I actually was looking at almost as hard as Crawford and Spence. So my personal opinion about this fight, I feel like Fulton is the bigger guy. I feel like Fulton can cleanly win this fight. Now, people will have different views in me in regards to how he can be able to win this fight. But for me, for him to win this fight, he should be sticking and moving. He should be getting into a firefight. Also, he should use his size to fight on the inside as well. So it's a delicate balance of boxing and timely using your size to create opportunities to connect. That's where I feel Stephen Cool Boy Fulton can win the fight. But the issue that I have when it comes to Cool Boy, right, and why I am leaning another direction is because Cool Boy is tough. He's not a punk. He got pride. He a fighter. And the same token, though, those things have allowed him in his last 4 fights to get dinged on, to get hit in ways that I don't think he can afford to get hit in this fight. He likes to toss it up sometimes. He will go toe to toe. We've seen that with Figueroa. So that's the reason why I can't flat out pick Cool Boy. If Cool Boy had a history of, not just boxing intelligently, but not getting into firefights and putting himself in positions to get drilled and get hurt, I would be like, yeah, I'm taking Fulton, no doubt about it, right? But the problem is the fighter that he's facing across him a new way has ridiculously sharp precision power. Because that's how the power is generated in him. It's not a perturby of strong brute knock you out. It's a precision placement, timing, speed, power creation. So I hear people, some fractions talking about, New Way trying to cheat. I don't think so. I don't think he's trying to cheat, but I don't blame Fulton's team necessarily for wanting to bring it up as a potential issue. I just feel like the manner that it was done wasn't necessarily the right one. But it may be the right one for the visibility of the fight itself, But that's how the weak shit in this game go. So, and the reason why I think it's a little fugazi for people to try to discredit in the way, because you got to remember, the new way to fall in the States multiple times, guys. And in the States, you can't double wrap right? Right? So all these times in the new way fought in the States, and you couldn't do that, how many knockouts in the way you get in those fights? Most of them. So it's disingenuous, my favorite word, to try to use this to discredit a new way in its totality. And I guess that's tribalism, sectionism. I'm only rooting for an American guy. I feel like these other guys are other bullshit. That can be the case. And again, I've stated over a million times the American boxing fan is garbage. We're garbage. I'm gonna say we because I'm part of it. We're garbage, yo. We're not, and that's why they do us the way they do us, because we're garbage. That's why they charge us so much fucking money, and why they do some of the goofy shit and get away with it, because we're complicit in the stupidity. Just to keep it a beam. Just being real. So the reason why, when I look at the new way going up to 122, some people say it's just 4 pounds. 4 pounds makes a difference. Don't get me wrong, it makes a difference. But will it make a difference in this fight? Does anybody think that New Age power won't translate when you get to this into this fight? I think that power will translate. And me knowing that his power will translate means that Stephen Fulton needs to fight a particular way. And by the way, shout out to D Young. D Young, one of the most supportive, solid brothers in the YouTube community from channel to channel. Listen, he don't care about none of the bullshit politics and the games that happen in the YouTube boxing community. He just supports boxing. Salute to you, brother. So, sorry guys, I'm up here getting ready to season all the meats. The taco season got to go on all of them so I can make sure that flavor is kicking through for these fajitas that I'm making. So I'm doing shrimp, steak, and fish. By the way, I'm doing all three of these. This is what she wanted to eat, so I'm accommodating that. But I think the New Age power is going to translate. And that's why I feel like it's a problematic situation for Cool Boy, because he's going to toss it up. He is going to get into a firefight with him. And when he does that, I don't think he's going to be able to survive. I don't think he's going to get out of there clean. I think he's going to get hit with something. And a New Way is a finisher, bro. If a New Way gets him hurt to that degree, can Cool Boy survive? I don't know. I don't think he will. The jury is out. It's a phenomenal fight. I do have a New Way with a 7th, 8th round stoppage. If Cool Boy fights the way that I know he can, Cool Boy can walk out with a clean decision victory. Those are the only two ways I see this fight happening. I don't see a new way winning a 12-round decision unless Fulton fights to survive. And I just don't see that coming from Fulton because Fulton is a dog. He got pride, he got heart, and he got skills. So even though I think in the way we win, the respect that I have for Stephen Cool Boy Fulton is through the roof, straight up. Because he did something that a lot of people didn't think he would do. He made the fight that people thought he was going to duck from. And I told Ring IQ, Cool Boy got too much pride, too much heart not to fight. And I've been proven right a whole lot more than wrong, y'all. You know, people be like, oh, like when I was on Marty Manager's shit, I was being told that I'm delusional and I'm this and I'm that. But the thing is, most of the shit that I be talking about, I be getting proven right. And the reason why I get proven right is I try to make a common sense approach to it. I don't have an approach from my overly fanboy perspective because none of these fighters are my favorite fighters, y'all. Terence Crawford is not my favorite fighter, bro. So when people be like, oh, you just a Crawford stan. Bro, I was a bigger Spence fan than Crawford 2 years ago. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, for real. Like, for real. Unbiased. Okay, so Mark Nash has a question. Unbiased Grim Reaper, do you think it's bad that Americans don't support Americans? I'm not going to say it's a loaded question, Mark, but here's what I'll tell you. America is a melting pot, Mark. When you have a melting pot of mashed multiple cultures, multiple people from different fractions, denominations, to expect an all-American support system is it's not being realistic. And I do see you said you don't see a Japanese person picking Fulton. Well, one of the things about Japan is not an insanely diverse culture of different people like it is here in America. So the rules can't necessarily be the same. I understand what you're saying, and it does make sense to a certain degree, but that's tribalism, bro. I don't subscribe to tribalism. I support my black brothers and sisters that's doing things in life. But me supporting you does not mean that I can turn around and say, you're going to win a fight that I may not think that you will win. Now, if I'm in the camp of the fighters, then you playing that role is legit. But I'm a boxing fan, bro. I'm no more than that. I'm just a boxing fan. So as a boxing fan, is it my obligation as a boxing fan to look at every black person that boxes and say they're going to win no matter what, even if I don't think so, just because they're black? No, man. Well, Mark Nash, I'll tell you this. If they doing that, does it make it right? No, it makes it tribalism. I'm not subscribed to tribalism. I can't control if every Asian person picks Fulton. Picks Inoue. Even though I do know an Asian person that thinks Fulton is going to outbox Inoue. I do know one. I do only one though. You know. So because this is the thing, Mark, that I see about that. It's like if somebody is participating in tribalism, I'm supposed to do the same because they are doing it, right? But if I don't do it, then it's something wrong. But then if I do it, it's something wrong. It's a real slippery slope, bro. Like for real, for real. I'm not a tribalist, bro. I'm a black man that was born in the United States of America, right? In the South. It's nationalism. That's a good word. It could be nationalism, absolutely. But is it right though, bro? Is it right for me to pick somebody just because they're black? Is it right for somebody to pick somebody just because they're Japanese and they're Japanese? Is it right for me to, is it right to do that? Does it make it legit? I don't think it does. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh man, I have such a problem with it. That's your choice. But if I choose not to subscribe to nationalism, tribalism, because listen, I don't have a dog in the fight in a New Way Fulton. If Fulton wins, cool. If a New Way wins, cool. I don't have it where I'm like, hey, Fulton gotta win this fight, or New Way gotta win this fight. I just look at the fight and see two fighters get into the ring. I'm not looking at them being black. I'm not looking at them being Japanese. When I see these two gentlemen, I'm basing on what they do in the ring and in the ring only. So I can't subscribe to anybody that may be Japanese that picks Inoue just because he's Japanese in his nationalism, or anybody who picks Fulton just because he's American and he's black. I'm not going to knock them for it. I'm not going to knock anybody for doing that. I'm only going to speak what I am and what I'm going to do. I'm a fan of boxing. I'm not a fan of just the black fighters, just the American fighters. If I think a fighter that's foreign is going to win a fight against an American, I'm going to say that. I don't have any ties to any camps or anybody. So I'm not obligated to have to ride for that person no matter what, even if I believe differently. I'm just a fight fan that's with an opinion that is entitled to make that opinion and that is not based on nationalism. Oh, shit. Sorry, anybody that's still on, I appreciate you. My phone died and it's gonna die again, so I just want to shut it down. I'm gonna come back a little bit later. I hope you guys have a beautiful one, and I'm gonna scream at y'all guys, man. Hopefully, I can be to come back and holler at you. Okay, hold up. Morning as I ride for my Razorbacks no matter what. Yeah, because my fandom goes past the ultimate level. That means that I'm no longer unbiased when it comes to that aspect. I love the Razorbacks, but I'm honest about my Razorbacks at the same token. I root for them for everything, but I'm still honest. If I think they're going to lose, I'm still going to say they're going to lose, even though I'm the ultimate fan of the Arkansas Razorbacks. But listen, my phone's going to die. I hope I get a chance to come back on a little bit later on, and I appreciate if anybody pulls up, listen, and check out my bullshit. But again, this is the Unbiased Fan Brim Reaper. And listen, shout out to these fajitas I'm about to eat. They're going to be delicious. And we got some phenomenal fights coming through. But I hope I get a chance to chop it up with y'all again a little bit later, though. Back in King Golden. I'm going to scream at you, though. One.